It can be debated as to what city is the oldest on the planet. From a historical point of view, three ancient cities can make a case as the oldest on Earth. Hello everyone, Gabriel here. Welcome to Ancient Insights. If you are here for the first time or have not subscribed to this channel yet, kindly subscribe now for more ancient history news and archaeology videos. Without much ado, let's get to it. Some of these cities predate the invention of agriculture, writing, and the wheel. Hence, documentation was non-existent or poorly kept. With traces of habitation dating back as far as the last ice age, some of the oldest cities on the surface of the planet are thought to predate the ancient Egyptian pyramids by around 8,000 years. Several thousand years before the first ancient Egyptian pyramid was envisioned during the 3rd dynasty of King Djoser, ancient civilization arose and fell in Earth's early history. Long before royal architect Imhotep was given the megalithic task of building Egypt's first stone-cut monument, people in present-day Syria founded great cities and built some of the first megalithic structures on the planet. This period in history, spanning back more than 8,000 years, is poorly documented and understood. The rise of the first city. Located in present-day Syria and dating back more than 8,000 years, we find one of the oldest cities on Earth. Thought to have started as a small settlement during Earth's last ice age, the ancient city of Aleppo became sprawling ancient metropolis in the region, greatly influencing the development of culture in later periods. The ancient city of Aleppo hides many secrets, some of which date back to a time when history, as we know it, was not even written. Despite its many enigmas, archaeological excavations no more than 30 kilometers away from the ancient city's center have revealed a plethora of archaeological data that shows that the core of the city as well as its nearby regions were inhabited for at least 13,000 years. According to experts, the importance of Aleppo resides in the fact that it is one of the oldest continuously occupied cities in history. But in addition to that, its existence sheds light on a period in history where great things apparently happened. Not only did some of the oldest cities on Earth arise in that period, some of the oldest, most massive temples on Earth, example Göbekli Tepe, were also built around 13,000 years ago. Archaeologists maintain that in the historical record, Aleppo appears as an important city much earlier than the ancient city of Damascus. The earliest traces of habitation at the ancient city of Damascus were found in the wider Barada Basin dating back to around 9000 BC. Nonetheless, a large-scale settlement did not appear at the site until the 2nd millennium BC. The ancient city of Aleppo covered an area of around 160 hectares. The city was enclosed by a massive wall, 5 kilometers in diameter, but despite Aleppo's age, its wall is not the oldest on Earth. It can't be debated as to what city is the oldest on the planet. From a historical point of view, three ancient cities can make a case as the oldest on Earth. In addition to Aleppo and Damascus, we can and probably must include the ancient city of Jericho. The ancient city of Jericho is a treasure trove of history. Archaeological excavations at the site have revealed evidence of around 20 successive settlements in the ancient city. The first one dates back to 9000 BC, which means that already 11,000 years ago, around the very start of the Holocene epoch, there were people living at the site. Jericho is surrounded by copious springs, which probably play a crucial role in drawing people from vast distances. In the Hebrew Bible, the ancient city of Jericho is described as a city of palm trees. Damascus. Although many people argue Damascus is without doubt one of the oldest cities on earth, in the historical record, Aleppo comes first. Archaeological excavation at Tel Ramad, where researchers radiocarbon dated several layers, points to the fact that the site was occupied since the 7th millennium BC, possibly as far back as 6500 BC. However, looking at the wider area, there are traces that suggest the site where Damascus eventually flourished was inhabited from around 9000 BC. Despite this, and as previously mentioned, no large-scale settlements appear until the 2nd millennium BC. Ancient city of Damascus was mentioned in some of the earliest ancient Egyptian records. The Amarna letters dating back from around 1300 BC mention Damascus, called Damascus, being ruled by King Gabriel. Aleppo. According to some, the ancient city of Aleppo is the oldest city of them all. Nonetheless, we cannot really tell the exact date when people decided to settle in the region. Archaeological excavations suggest that traces of habitation point to the last ice age. This means that between 13,000 to 11,000 years ago, a society formed at present-day Aleppo, and people began forming what would later become one of the most significant cities in history. Not much is known about the oldest part of Aleppo, since archaeologists have not managed to study the city in depth. This is because the modern city occupies the ancient city's place. The oldest record mentioning the ancient city of Aleppo, called Ami, can be traced back to the 3rd millennium BC. As revealed by MNN, archaeologists have found traces of habitation at Aleppo which date back some 8,000 years. But excavations at the site 15 miles north of the city show the area was inhabited about 13,000 years ago. Jericho. According to archaeologists, the first permanent settlement on the site of the ancient city of Jericho developed near the N.S. Sultan Spring between 9500 and 9000 BC. Traces of epi-Paleolithic structures found at the site predates the invention of agriculture and the wheel. Evidence of settlement at Jericho date back to around 10,000 BC. This coincides with the so-called Younger Dryas period, an era in Earth's history characterized by cold and drought. According to archaeologists, the Younger Dryas, would have made habitation at one single location nearly impossible. However, springs surrounding Jericho may have made the wider site a popular settling place for early hunter-gatherers groups. Some 400 years later, around 9600 BC, the drought and cold of the Younger Dryas ceased, making it possible to develop the site, creating a thriving settlement that allowed year-round habitation. Experts estimate that only 200 years later, around 9400 BC, Jericho was a modest town with more than 70 unique structures. In addition to being one of the oldest known continuously inhabited cities on Earth, Jericho is also home to the oldest known protective wall in history. Experts believe that the ancient was also home to the oldest stone tower, but archaeological excavation at the site in Syria, Tel Caramel, have yielded even older towers. What is your thought on this video? Please leave a comment down below. Thousands of years ago, an unknown culture carved and raised hundreds of stone steels and sculptures on the Pacific coast of southern Guatemala. Together, they provide some of the strongest evidence of pre-Columbian transoceanic contact anywhere in the American continent. The mysterious culture that created these sculptures is known as Coatzacoalcos, named after the village where the first artifacts were found in the mid-19th century. You may also click to watch this video for more ancient history stories and archaeological discoveries. Like, share with friends if you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching.